Talk Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show, where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California, and we are so glad to make you a part of... Screw it!
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
We'll do it live! We'll do it live!
That was good. I've never seen you do that. That was the first time I've ever seen that.
I was like 375 for 375.
Yeah,
that's all good.
It's going to be one of those days.
You know what, John Campea, people love humanizing moments. That's what that was.
That's right. That was great.
Also here
I
is
wish you had a
Kristian
tie.
Harloff, Jon Schnepp.
Everybody.
We're doing it live. We are
Jeremy
still live.
Jahns is here too.
I'm here. How you doing? I love you guys. Hi. Hi.
Like you really just did. You became one of your dogs right now.
They are crackers.
Yeah.
I love them little crackers.
Great.
All right.
Wait, there's Kristian.
What
He's
is
here
happening?
too.
I didn't hear it.
You did. Yes, you did.
I didn't hear it either.
Wow.
All right, so this is the collective F up for the entire day. I have no idea how the rest of this is going to go.
That was the entire blooper reel.
There are some trailers, maybe? Ashley?
Yep. Warner Brothers has released the first trailer for Dunkirk, the World War II action thriller from writer-director Christopher Nolan. The film chronicles the evacuation of Dunkirk, a British military operation that saved 330,000 lives as Allied soldiers were surrounded by German forces. The film stars Tom Hardy, Kenneth Branagh, Mark Rylance, and Cillian Murphy, and is set to open in theaters on July 21st, 2017.
Yeah, this is the one directed by Michael Bay, right?
Yes.
Why not? I mean, we're messing everything else
Love
up.
triangle.
He was joking. Comment section. He was joking.
Look, this is a trailer I've been looking forward to a long time. I mean, that unfortunately, when everybody's going to think about that first little tease thing they put out, all they're going to think about is that extra.
All right.
That dude extra. Like whenever anybody in the circles I'm around and talk about, they always talk about that extra. I mean, so that's usually what they talk about. I'm going to tell you, I did not have my socks blown off by the trailer. Don't get me wrong, this is one of my most anticipated movies coming out. And it is being directed by the man. So the movie is, I know the movie's going to be great. I know the movie's going to be great. But you know what? I wasn't completely thrilled. If you remember, I don't think any of us were really completely thrilled with the first trailer for Inception.
Right.
That first one. And then the second trailer for Inception came out and blew our socks off. So this doesn't worry me at all. I do think they set up some good pieces to the story there. I think we got a little bit of a taste of the flavor of what the movie's going to be. Kenneth Branagh is just a king among peasants. I mean, Kenneth Branagh is so great, and he had just such simple lines in the trailer, but as he's saying them, I'm like, I'm eating it up. So that was cool. So I was a little bit underwhelmed by the trailer, but no doubt the movie's going to be great. I know the other marketing for it that's coming down the line is going to be great and awesome, and it's fine. It's a totally fine flavor. Introduce us to the idea. I would have liked to see him a little bit more Tom Hardy in the trailer, I think, but other than that, it was fine. And I know better is coming. I don't know, Kristian, what do you think?
Well, Schnepp and I just did a trailer reaction for this movie, and I'm a pretty big Christopher Nolan fan, and I agree with you, Laura. I think this particular trailer, was more or less to show, hey, Christopher Nolan is doing something different than sci-fi, and he's doing something more than a comic movie. He's now going into his World War II film that he's talked about. I think that you don't really get a scale of the story in this. I think that there are going to be a lot of references, obviously, to Saving Private Ryan right away when you see a lot of these things here. But you're right. There's not enough in there right now to make me get super excited about the story yet, because it's just about to show you this. This is just to show you the scale of the film.
Yes.
To show you
Yes.
what it is going to be, and to show you that Christopher Nolan is doing a World War II movie. That's what I got from it. The thing that I find most interesting, and I think I referenced this movie a couple of weeks ago, is Cinderella Man was a movie that is a great film that came out in the summertime, and it should have been an Oscar nominated.
It should have been
film.
an Oscar time
and it was
release,
released in summertime, and it was eaten up by the blockbuster popcorn films. This is a movie that I'm surprised is in July, that it's coming out in July. Now, it's Christopher Nolan. He also put out Inception, which is more of a thinking, different from the normal blockbusters, and that did very well.
It did well.
So I'm curious about this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big World War II buff, and I love Nolan, so I'm on board with it.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I love what this trailer did in the sense of it's not the announcement trailer. It is like a second teaser trailer, effectively.
It's like almost 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I would count as the first full trailer. Yeah.
All right, but what I feel like what this trailer did was take everyone and kind of manage their expectations. Like, all right, it's Christopher Nolan. You got Inception. You have Interstellar. You have the Dark Knight trilogy. We're gonna have our feet on the ground here. We're gonna tell the World War II story. It's not gonna be crazy sci-fi. Know that like when they all looked up and that extra was freaking out. Yeah. He wasn't looking at a dragon or an alien or anything like that. It was
that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. Who knows? We don't. I went to public school, man. All sorts of stuff could have happened in World War. Well, it's World War One, right? Yeah.
Is it World War One?
Okay, yeah, good. I said World War II. Sorry about that. But and that's the thing I know. I'm like, 300,000 lives were saved, and I knew nothing about this battle because, again, public school. So I'm glad I get to see this story that I should have otherwise known about, that I know nothing about. But it is the credentials behind it. It's the actors in it. It's Christopher Nolan directing. Because when we were gushing about the Silence trailer, I saw a comment. They were like, well, if it wasn't Scorsese, they wouldn't be this pumped. And you're right. It's the director sells the movie a lot of the time. Because of the director, I'm excited for that. Because of the director, I'm excited for this. And I want to see Nolan do a World War One.
No, this movie's World War II. This isn't World War One. It's World War II.
It's not World War One. It's World War II.
World War II.
There we go.
The jury's out there. Oh, it's two.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Well, I'm always inaccurate, so that's not different.
Schnepp.
The horror of war, whatever war it is, it's horrible. And I think actually this trailer is more of a setup trailer. That's how I look at it. I mean, it didn't get into the meat of any of the characters' storylines. You didn't really get to follow one specific character's journey through the story. My guess is it's going to be Cillian Murphy's storyline that we're going to follow. Or is it Cillian Murphy? Am I saying it right?
I heard Cillian. I said Cillian, and people ate me up a lot. Like, it's Cillian, I guess.
Relax, everybody. Cillian Murphy. I think we're going to get to know a lot of those characters maybe and follow one of them specifically in the second trailer. But this first trailer is setting us up and also showing us some of Nolan's like trademark cinematography, that like you're locked down on a camera, you're banking. Certain shots were like they're just in every single one of Christopher Nolan's films. So his trademark shots are once again echoed throughout this trailer. I found it very exciting to see this first trailer, and I'm looking forward to the second one.
And when you think about it too, I mean, the movie is still 7 months away. It's still 7 full months away. There's a lot more marketing trailers, and they don't need to give us a story yet at this point, all that kind of stuff. So there's all that. And yeah, it is World War II. We should have clued into that by the planes. So it is a World War II film. Looking forward to it. All right, what's next?
According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suicide Squad director David Ayer will reunite with Margot Robbie on Gotham City Sirens, an all-female DC villains movie featuring Robbie's Harley Quinn, alongside the top female villains from the DC universe that include Poison Ivy and Catwoman. Ayer will direct and produce the project from a script by Geneva Robertson Dorrit, the screenwriter of the latest Tomb Raider reboot. The same report mentions that Suicide Squad 2 and a Deadshot spin-off are also in development, with Sirens being the farthest along in the development process. No word on a production start or release date. John, what do you think about a Gotham City Sirens movie directed by David Ayer?
I try so hard every day to be positive and enthusiastic about the DC Cinematic Universe. I try so hard every day to look on the bright side. I'm one of the few guys in the world that I consider, Man of Steel not just to be a good movie, but to be a flat out awesomely fantastic, great movie. That's my opinion of Man of Steel. I like BVS. I like Suicide Squad. They had their major problems, but I'm always trying to look on the bright side. I'm always trying to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to move this thing forward, and see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is stupid. This is stupid. And once again, Warner Brothers, as far as their DC property, Warner Brothers is such a good studio. When you really look at their body, they're so good. Why they cannot get their act together with the DC Cinematic Universe is frustrating the hell out of me. Once again, we're seeing it goes, what's the plan for the DC Universe? Depends, ask me in the morning. And then the next day comes, now what's the plan for the DC? Who knows? Hey, we got these ideas for Cyborg, and we got Batman and Superman still, we're going to do Wonder Woman, and we got The Flash now, blah, blah. Great. Oh, some people paid attention to Suicide Squad? Let's do a Deadshot movie. Sure, why not? Oh, we're going to have Harley Quinn? Let's throw in Catwoman and Poison Ivy too, because that's what people are looking for. I don't get it. I'm getting towards my wit's end. I am running out of the energy to try to be positive. I'm getting really frustrated. And the reason I'm frustrated, because if I didn't give a crap about the DC Cinematic Universe, I just wouldn't care. Like if I find out they're screwing up the Power Rangers thing, which who knows, maybe that movie will be good. But I'm saying if we find out they screw up the Power Rangers universe, I'll just go, oh, okay, well, whatever. They took a shot and it didn't work. But I care about the DC Cinematic Universe. I care about what Warner Brothers does here. I want them to succeed, and I keep putting myself out there on this optimistic ledge that they keep pushing me off. And it's really getting frustrating. Get your shit together, Warner Brothers. Get it together. Get a clue. This is idiocracy. This is a bad move. When they first said Harley Quinn, I tried to be positive about it. I tried to go, yeah, okay, sure. I liked her a lot. I liked her a lot in Suicide Squad. You want to completely change up the plan now and just because, again, reactionary. And now they're going to make it a Gotham Sirens. I give up. I give up.
Good. Let the hate flow.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy.
I
Enjoy the hatred.
Let it flow through you.
It's flowing.
What do you think?
I think you're evil.
Christian, I think you should keep talking.
I'm not going to get as upset as you did, but I tend to agree with you. I think that this goes back to the conversation we had the other day where I was on board with DC putting Batman before Justice League 2. I thought that was a good play. I think that was them kind of rearranging their strategy. I think this does play right into what we were talking about the other day. The negative side is them saying, well, people really liked Harley Quinn. Let's give them that movie. Let's benefit off of that. Let's make all this money off of Harley Quinn because that's who they liked the best. What does it say for the narrative? To me, it says nothing. To me, I could be wrong. Wait till the movie comes out, and then we're like, oh, it actually does serve the story. It just isn't leaning that way so far for what they have put out there. I don't know if David Ayer, I love David Ayer. Fury was great. A lot of the movies he's done has been, I'm a fan of his. I didn't like Suicide Squad. I didn't like the tone. I didn't like the way it was set up or executed. And it doesn't give me a lot of courage. It doesn't give me a lot of hope here with this particular movie. So I don't know. I think that them just grabbing characters that are popular and grabbing because they also have very good relationships with both Margot Robbie and Will Smith. They did that movie before Suicide Squad, Focused, and they did this one, and now they want to keep those relationships. So they're Will Smith, it's like Oprah, you can have a movie. So it is a bit discouraging.
Jeremy.
Courage.
I gotta applaud you, John. After we all collectively screwed up the intro of this show, you brought us back on course right there. You focused it up, so thank you for that. I do disagree with you. If Power Rangers sucks, I'm going to cry in my Power Rangers pillow. Know that. But I do agree with you, and you've said it time and time again. And every time you say it, I'm like, I agree, but less. I'm less intense about it. But this goes to show that they are very reactionary. You're absolutely right about that. And so when this happens, I got to go, I got to give John a point. And I don't like giving you points, John. I like hoarding them for myself. But I agree that it's like, if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if we're going to compare them, the movies coming out all lead to a point and purpose. This is a case of people liked Harley Quinn, so let's just do that. I'd rather see Harley and Joker if you're going to do Harley. Just show us Harley and Joker, because we didn't get enough of that. What people liked about Harley Quinn, also she bounced off a Deadshot. Her and Deadshot collectively were really good. So Harley Quinn is a good character with another character. What people wanted in Suicide Squad was more Harley and Joker, not necessarily whatever Gotham City Sirens. That I feel like that's toy marketing. Give us Harley and Joker instead.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I heard this news later yesterday, and I kind of, I'm not as emotional about it as you, but
No one can.
No one is.
yeah, John gets emotional about certain things. But I hear what he's saying. I don't know if I echo it entirely, but I feel like they did a great thing this week and they did a not so great thing this week. The great thing they did was let's hold off on Justice League 2 and let's get the Batman made. Because right now we don't have a movie of Batman in this DC cinematic universe. So far he's showing up in other people's films. I think it's a waste of Ben Affleck. That's a waste of this character. And that's what all of us really want. When I think of DC Comics, or films, I think of Batman, then I think of Superman, then I think of Wonder Woman. There's a list that goes in my mind. And Harley Quinn and, those other characters are like, they're not at the bottom of the list, but they're like maybe in 17, 22 or something. It's pretty low down there, but not out of a list of 1,000. Whatever. We're not going to say, I want the Creeper to be the next movie. They're like, we're doing Steve Ditko's The Creeper. People be like, what is that? At least Harley Quinn does have some form of box office now, and I do understand what they're doing. They're like, look, we did Suicide Squad. A lot of people didn't like it, but it made more money than Deadpool globally. It made more money than Deadpool. That's a lot of money. $735 million is a lot of money. So it's a business, and they're like, look, more people want to see the further adventures of Harley Quinn. How do we do that? Do we do a solo film? Do we do Harley Quinn and the Joker? Do we just call it Harley Quinn? Do we try to figure out other ways to incorporate the other DC characters? So I see what they're trying to do, but the way they're doing it is why the reactions are such, because it's a haphazard way of reacting. Marvel has done things by just simply calling, we're ending phase 1 and beginning phase 2. They're creating a way of letting the public know, oh, we're entering this other phase of these next 7 or 8 movies. And Marvel's also done a really good job at taking chances with characters that no one thought ever, like Guardians of the Galaxy. No one even knew about it. But they take these chances, but they do it in such a way where it doesn't feel haphazard, because they're making it like, well, this is our set pattern that we're doing. DC announced a ton of movies. Now they've changed a bunch of those movies. They've rearranged a bunch of those movies. And they've also been very reactionary because of what the public's reaction was. Marvel has never been reactionary in any of their movies. They're like, hey, you might not know who Ant-Man is. We are going to show you why Ant-Man is really cool. Relax. Why don't you sit back? We're not changing anything. Except, they had a problem with the directors. But other than that, I mean, Marvel's just, we're making these movies, and you're then going to see them. And we're staying to the course that we've laid out, because we have someone in charge who's, got a bunch of people around him that know what's going on. I feel like because of everything, the kind of flip-flopping that's happened, I think what we're seeing right now that's coming out, to the public has been probably thought about months ago when Jeff Jahns came on board, and they're trying to figure out what is their solid game plan. It just feels like there isn't one.
It seems to me, I think that what the reason you bring up Marvel too, and again, I don't want to throw more flames on the fire, but Kevin Feige is clearly, he's got people he answers to, obviously, with Iger and Alan Horn, but he is the guy they said, go do your thing, let us know what you have in mind, and he's the one that's kind of steering the ship. They throw Jeff Johns' name out there, but there's way too many cooks in the kitchen at Warner Brothers. You got whether it's Greg Silverman and Jeff Johns and whoever else is over there. There's too many people saying, do this, try this. I worked in the Warner Brothers system. That's how it works. There's so many people throwing in information. It's like, back off. If you're going to trust in Jeff Johns, let him go. Let him do his thing. And then when it comes down, 1 or 2 people kind of come out and say, here's our notes. You got to have notes. That's the way studio systems work.
Absolutely.
You got to have involvement. That's what makes a good studio exec a good studio exec. That's why Bob Iger is Bob Iger. So I just think that you got to trust in a little more and not just go for, they're putting the big movie star in there. They're taking a chance with trying to go for a Harley Quinn movie. They're trying to do this too. I think we all think it's not the best shot.
I want to echo though, Jeff Johns is in charge now. But it's
by himself?
No, he's the main person that he's running the boat, but it's taken this long for all these changes to come out publicly. So
I have my doubts. I think they're putting his name out there, but I have my doubts that Kevin Feige is the president of Marvel Studios. Period. That's it. Everything funnels through him. I don't think they're giving Johns that kind of control. And and I never thought Johns was the right guy for that, but at least he would be a guy. Sorry. At least he would be a guy. Whether it's him or whether it's Affleck or whether it's somebody else, get somebody who will have one coherent vision to guide all the other visions by. And if it's going to be Johns, let Jeff Johns do it. Let him do it. Don't just give it to him in name only. I think part of the reason I get so frustrated is not just because I care about the DC Cinematic Universe, but it's because I feel embarrassed because I'm constantly getting embarrassed by being the person who keeps trying to defend the stuff they put out, and then they start making decisions like this, and it does frustrate you. Just a point of fact, Deadpool did make about $40 million more than Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad made a buttload of money, around $742 million world, or $745 million worldwide. Deadpool about 780 something.
Okay.
But it made a load of money. Clearly people were interested and fascinated in the movie. I just think they're just going in such wrong directions. Where's the Cyborg movie? You took time. And you took some hits. You took time to introduce us to Cyborg. You told us a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that we're getting a Cyborg movie.
I think that movie terrifies them.
I think it does
Yeah.
now. I think they're terrified. And so everything is, once again, reactionary. Anyway, we could go on about this all day. What's next?
Universal Pictures has announced that the launch of the Fate of the Furious trailer this past Sunday was a record-setting event. In the first 24 hours, the trailer debuted with 139 million views, breaking the previous record of 127.6 million views set by the Beauty and the Beast trailer last month. Straight Outta Compton's F. Gary Gray directs the movie that puts Vin Diesel's Dominic against the very same family he's protected over the past 7 films. It's set for release on April 14th, 2017. Jeremy, are you surprised to hear that the Fate of the Furious trailer is now the biggest trailer debut of all time?
I'm shocked. Who knew? Basically, this is how you can see it. If I don't do a video on the trailer, it's going to crush online. Those are my decisions. That's my business decision. That's my business face right there. Sorry to Mark Ellis for the fact that this is going to be the one that crosses $200 million, not Beauty and the Beast. I knew that they were fun movies, we all agree that they're fun movies, but having the biggest trailer debut in a 24-hour period absolutely does shock me. I didn't think it would come close to that, especially if you look at what hasn't hit that mark, all the huge movies that have not hit that mark. Yeah, I'm shocked. Am I crazy for being shocked?
No, I'm shocked too. Look, Fast and Furious has been on a roll. I expect it's going to do very well. I expected a lot of people to watch the trailer. I did not expect it to do these kinds of numbers. I am kind of shocked by it, actually. I'm like, part of me thinks maybe Russia was tampering with the view numbers. I mean, I don't know. Could be the case, but I am surprised. I mean, look, I'm one of the guys on this panel yesterday who said I liked the trailer. I got a kick out of it. I had a lot of fun with it, but am I surprised? I am absolutely surprised. Kristian?
I'm surprised when you think about it. Should we be? Because the movie, the last one, made $1 billion, and no one thought that was going to happen. Yeah, right. Nobody thought the last one. There are certain franchises that every once in a while have a certain magic about them, and they tried to do it with Jack Reacher. They tried to pull that magic that Mission Impossible had, couldn't do it. They're going to try to do it with Triple X. It won't happen. But the Fast and the Furious, they have this kind of magic potion that keeps people interested, because it's what you said the other day, Jeremy. How much fun these movies know that they have. They don't take themselves seriously at all. They've almost become superhero movies. They really are. When you look at how ridiculous that last trailer is with the submarine, which I love, the submarine part of it. And people they care about this franchise right now. And it's become an event. It's become a thing. And so, yes, it's shocking that it is the most viewed trailer of all time, but I'm also not shocked that many people are interested in it.
Schnepp?
The Fast and the Curious. That's the next title for your billion-dollar franchise. You know what? Yeah, I'm shocked that so many people watch it, but I watched it. I laughed. Yeah, I was like, all right, they're going to go this way, because they're coming out of such a tragedy, now having that kind of fun, like, hey, look, we are a family. What? Vin Diesel's the bad guy, and he's hanging out with Charlize Theron with dreads. It's so stupid. I mean, but at the same time, it's so enjoyable and dumb. Like, the submarine thing. It's like, go outrun him with the big. It's just so. I can't wait to see it. I have my money.
Is it a fair criticism to say, or maybe it's not even a criticism, is it fair to say that other than who the supporting actors are in them, that the Triple X trailer and the new Fast and the Furious trailer are basically indistinguishable between the two? Like, the franchises, they look complete. Like that Triple X trailer, minus Ludacris and The Rock. You would think that's a Fast and Furious trailer.
Triple X is the 99-cent version of Fast and Furious.
That's why I made that joke about a Fast and Furious and Triple X crossover.
I'd say it's the extreme sports, even though everybody hates extreme sports now. It's the extreme sports version, because they're like, I'm skiing down in the jungle.
That's where it came from when it was super popular. That's where when the franchise started.
All right, guys, listen, it is Wednesday, so it's time for us to talk a little bit of Rewind, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. This is the segment in the week when we basically feel old, because we talk about the films that turned 10 years old this week and the films that turned 20 years old this week, celebrating their 10th anniversaries this week. Dreamgirls is 10 years old. Wow. Charlotte's Web, that horrible Aragon movie, and The Pursuit of Happiness is 10 years old. I cannot believe, other than Charlotte's Web does feel like it was 10 years ago.
Well, Aragon 2 was really good. That's right, they never made it.
And Then the film's turning 20. Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. Turned 20 years old. And Tom Cruise looks like he's about 3 years older than he was in that movie. Mars Attacks turns 20 years old. And The Preacher's Wife turns 20 years old. Schnepp, out of these, 7 films, which ones really stand out to you?
Well, I mean, I love Charlotte's Web. I love the cartoon version. I love this version.
Yeah.
They're very thoughtful and meaningful. I think any family member should see that. Love Mars Attacks. That's a film for me that actually got better as the years have gone by, because I remember seeing it 20 years ago, and I was like, I liked it, but recently I saw it and I was like, wow, this is really fun and it's sarcastic. It's like, it's got this evil comedic edge to it, which is, maybe a lot of people didn't see it like 20 years ago, but watch it again, you'll see it's mean-spirited, but in a great, almost kind of bad Santa way. So Mars Attacks, and of course Jerry Maguire stands out.
Jeremy.
I just think of that line where it's like, I just like the people to know that they still have 2 out of 3 branches of the government working for them, and that ain't bad.
That's right. Jack Nicholson, so fantastic.
Yeah, the ones that stand out for me, Aragon, because my sister-in-law, huge fan of it, and her and my brother saw it when they were dating. Now they're married with a child. So that right there puts that bracket of decade into perspective for me. And Preacher's Wife, because I was young, I was going on my first date with this girl I had a crush on. Jerry Maguire was sold out, because when we were going through this, I was like, if Jerry Maguire's 10 years old, that means, that's right, there it is, Preacher's Wife. We went and saw Preacher's Wife. We came out. She ran into her friends, and she said, tell them you're my cousin.
Oh.
Swear. That's a real...
Hashtag tell your
Yeah, that's a real
Damn.
story, man. That was before I had this hair. It wasn't easy being a nerd in the 90s, I gotta say, but I will always remember The Preacher's Wife 20 years ago.
And the course of Jeremy Johns' life was altered forever
it
that
was.
day.
I was like, I'll show you.
Look at Ashley cracking up over that story. Real nice.
That's because Mova's evil.
She was like, that was me.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done that like 10 times.
I know what that's
I really
like.
She really liked that. Real nice. Yeah, the one.
Thanks, Mova.
I think the one, obviously, Jerry Maguire stands out to me. 20 years. Oh my goodness. I think that one. That's just a movie. It holds up. I still think it's one of Cameron Crowe's best movies that he's done, and with Cuba Gooding Jr. winning the Oscar for that movie.
Can you that when he came running, bounding on that stage
Yeah, it's a
at
big
the Oscars
moment.
20
years ago, and it was Renee Zellweger's kind of coming out party.
Yeah.
Because no one really. Empire Records was the only thing I'd really known her from before that. But yeah, I think that Pursuit of Happiness is the one that stands out for 10 years ago, because I still think to this day, acting-wise, it's Will Smith's best work and his son's best work too. But I really think that that's a movie. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a powerful film, both in his performance, in the message of the film, in just a testament of the human spirit. So if you haven't checked out Pursuit of Happiness, you really should.
Yeah, don't let the misspelling of happiness turn you off. 'Cause
Right.
I remember that when that came out, I was like, why are they spelling it that way? It really irritated me. But I thought the movie was really great. Also, Dreamgirls, we shouldn't forget. That's
right.
a really
Yeah.
great
Yeah, sure it
musical.
is.
Eddie Murphy
Eddie
was
Murphy
nominated
was
for Academy
fantastic.
Award for
Yeah.
that. Jennifer Hudson won her Academy.
Yes.
It still feels like Jennifer Hudson is the new girl on the block, but that was
10 years ago.
a
Yeah.
decade ago. And by the way, just a quick note. Up until yesterday, I also would say that The Pursuit of Happiness was my favorite Will Smith performance.
Oh, did you see it?
I now think Collateral Beauty is my
Wow.
favorite performance of his. Not his best movie. We'll get into that later. But it is. I think it's my favorite performance he's
Wow.
ever given.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I really loved it. All right, guys, we've reached that part of the show now for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
According to a report from Variety, new information shows Rogue One, a Star Wars story, set to be the biggest hit of the holiday movie season, with an opening domestic weekend tracking between 120 million to 150 million. It should also add another 150 million from foreign territories for a 250 to 300 million worldwide opening. That will likely be the second largest December opening in history, behind The Force Awakens' 248 million debut. Kristian, do you buy or sell Rogue One opening at 150 million domestic or more on opening weekend?
I buy Ray Ora as the best Photoshop guy in the history of the planet. That was a great picture.
Ray Donnian is blind in this. It's just, that's cruel.
I buy that. My number was 150. I'm going to buy that it goes. I don't know how much it's going to go over, but if it's just over 150, yeah, I do. I think that from the amount of buzz just came out of the premiere alone, from the people that are our colleagues, other people that have seen the film, fan reactions, the people that are starting to see the film a little earlier, people are really loving this film, and that's what we said when we talked about this originally, is that if it starts to get the buzz, it would have done 150 without any buzz. But with the buzz, I think it's going to go over just because people are very excited about it, and there's certain things that happen in the movie not
Right.
spoiling anything, just saying that there are moments in this that I think people can put in the top 5 Star Wars moments of all time, and that alone is going to get people out of the theater.
Oh, well, by the way, that is the topic of our Twitter question of the day. Our Twitter question of the day for you guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Collider Video. We got a poll going up right now, and that question is simply this. Now that you've heard the buzz about the movie, now that people have actually seen the movie, will I was about to say The Force Awakens, will Rogue One make over $150 million in opening weekend, or will it make under $150 million? Once again, go to our Twitter, at Collider Video, cast your vote right now. We will check in on it at the end of the show. Look, I was calling 147. That was my number, was 147, but I said I withhold the right to change that until after I see the movie and get a feel for what I think the buzz is going to be. The buzz is very big. So I, not by a lot, but I am going to go over. I think we will get over, so I buy that it's going to go over. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think it's going to go over too, because what this movie does is it's a great standalone movie for movie goers to enjoy, but it's also a great Star Wars movie with fan service for Star Wars fans. When you can unite those two worlds, you have yourself a powerhouse. You have yourself a weapon that can blow up planets. And so I think it's a definite shot at going over 150 for sure.
Jon Schnepp, owner of the best T-shirt of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you buy it'll go over 150?
Most definitely. I mean, this is the best prequel I've seen made in the Star Wars universe. And if you're going to see Rogue One, when you get home, have the sequel to a Rogue One. It's called Star Wars A New Hope, ready to watch, because it's such a great primer, and it adds so much more depth to the actual story. I never thought that would be even possible, that it adds all these layers and nuances to the original granddaddy of them all, the original Star Wars. This one adds these layers and textures to it that were not there before you see Rogue One. I think it's going to make 185. It'll get close to 200. I mean, I think it's such a fantastic film, and the word of mouth, even though I had some issues with certain scenes in it, overall, I love the film, and just thinking about it, so I can't wait to see it again. Yeah. That's one of those movies that I wanted to see it immediately. These guys are all going to see it again. I'm going to see it again. So that's repeat money.
I didn't buy my ticket. I was an idiot. I was like, I'm going to go to
Me
screening.
neither.
And now I'm like, I really wish I'd bought a Thursday night ticket
Everything's
when
sold
they were
out.
available. Right.
All right, what's next?
Variety reports that Rogue One, a Star Wars story villain, Ben Mendelsohn, is in negotiations to play the Sheriff of Nottingham in Lionsgate's Robin Hood Origins. He'll join Taron Egerton as Robin Hood alongside Jamie Foxx's Little John, Eve Hewson's Maid Marian, and 50 Shades of Grey actor Jamie Dornan as Will Scarlet, Robin Hood's half-brother. Otto Bathurst is directing the movie, which will center on Robin Hood, a war-hardened crusader who joins a commander in a revolt against the corrupt English monarchy. Schnepp buyers sell Ben Mendelsohn as the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood Origins.
Let me just straight up say right away, I love Ben Mendelsohn. I think he's an amazing actor. He does a great job as Krennic.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in Animal Kingdom. He's every single thing he's in, he's fantastic. So I'm forced, just because he's so awesome, to buy that whatever he's cast in, I'll probably eventually want to see, or at least someone can tell me it's awesome, because I have so little interest in seeing anything to do with Robin Hood. I think it's been beaten to death for hundreds of years. It's a story that's retold at least every 3 years. There's a new that Sony is doing an expanded, we're going to create a universe, a shared universe of Robin Hood. I mean, give me a break with this Robin Hood stuff. I'm bored out of my mind with Robin Hood. If you just Google Robin Hood and look up all the different iterations of Robin Hood that have happened. You have like a couple that stand out. You have the Kevin Costner one. You have Fairbanks. You have a couple of different ones where you have these actors who are like, that's Robin Hood. And then you have a million other lame and poopy versions of Robin Hood that just don't work. You have John Cleese as Robin Hood in Time Bandits. Robin Hood's been in so much stuff. I'm sick of Robin Hood. I just can't stand the idea of seeing anything to do with Robin Hood. Even a future Robin Hood. There was like, the Wachowskis are going to do a Hood. It's a Robin Hood in the future. Boring. Sorry. I don't want to see any more Robin Hood.
Kristian.
Good. I think I also buy it.
I want to see another Robin Hood movie because I will tell you that I was excited when they were going to do one with Ridley Scott, and that thing sucked.
Russell Crowe, and it was a great
But
cast.
can I just add that that's one of those things where they had an amazing script called Nottingham. It was like a Nottingham, I believe, but it was all told from the evil guy's perspective. It was told
they
from
changed it.
Everything that they did though with that movie, I thought they were going to do so much more with it, and they had such a great cast, and it was garbage. This is something that I would be very interested in because once again they're putting together a nice cast. And when I think of Ben Mendelsohn as Sheriff of Nottingham, I automatically go to and I think about, well, he's going to be probably as good as the late Alan Rickman, who was that's the type of guy I could see doing that same type of performance, be as menacing, throw in that kind of sick humor in there also too. This is a great choice, and I'm with you though. I'll buy Mendelsohn in anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy, but simply for Mendelsohn being in there because I'm right now I'm not terribly interested in this movie. Maybe once the marketing starts coming, we start to get a better sense of it. That'll change my mind. For right now, I'm not interested, but I do buy his edition.
So I'm forced to accept the fact that they're never going to make a sequel to the classic epic Russell Crowe Robin Hood. Fine. But I agree with you guys. Mendelsohn has always been great, and then I see him as Krennic. I feel like he could just do Krennic, just dressed in a different costume, and he'd be a great sheriff in Nottingham, and it's something that I would love and I would watch. I think he's a great choice for it. I do want to see another Robin Hood movie, but him as the sheriff of Nottingham is a great addition for sure.
All right, what's next?
Paramount has released a new Transformers The Last Night poster with the tagline, "Rethink Your Heroes," a tease from the movie that sees Optimus Prime seeming to switch sides to become the bad guy. The Last Night sees the return of Mark Wahlberg, who will star alongside Stanley Tucci, John Turturro, Josh Duhamel, and Anthony Hopkins. It opens on June 23rd, 2017. John Byer saw the first poster for Transformers The Last Night.
No, I didn't like the trailer, and you know what my opinion is of French. But if we're just talking about the poster, I like the poster. Like Optimus Prime standing there on a hilltop with the sword. What's not to like? I mean, that's a good poster. But do you remember yesterday I was pointing out like the Dunkirk poster? And I said the Transformers. Can we bring up the Transformers poster again? Well, there's the Dunkirk one. Okay, so there's the Dunkirk one. Now bring up the Transformers one. Now bring up the Dunkirk one. Just the background is what's really getting me. I thought that the guy, if Optimus Prime's back was to the camera, I would almost say they were completely identical posters. But I like the poster. If we're just talking about the poster, I like it. I'm going to buy it.
Listen, if you didn't know that Michael Bay did this, if you hadn't seen the first 80, whatever the stupid thing is at this point, if you didn't see any of these, and this was the first time you ever heard a Transformers movie was coming out, and that's the poster they showed you, we would be going crazy. Oh yeah, it's a big buy for me. It looks awesome. I'm so sad. I'm so sad because I know what the real movie's going to be, and it's not going to be what I think of when I see that poster. Like Optimus Prime with a sword is fantastic, and it looks like a movie that I would hang up in my office right now if I didn't know what was coming, and it's a lot of turds.
I like the poster because it's telling a lot of the story in the poster. You see Bumblebee's foot in the corner.
And I never noticed
and
that.
Optimus is actually looking at him. Optimus' eyes are purple, meaning he is possessed by Unicron. And it looks like he just killed his best friend. And he's like kind of standing there like, is he bummed out? Is he victorious? We don't know. And behind him is that giant, weird kind of half sphere thing that was like attacking the moon in the trailer.
That's
probably Unicron. Yeah. So I enjoy that they're like giving you this kind of deeper story within it. But I feel like if we rotate it around, we saw the back of Optimus Prime, you'd see like 3 or 4 Transformers jumping to their death, like in the Dunkirk poster. But you know how I feel about Transformers, all of them. So did they do a good job with the poster? Yes.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I love the fact that the deepest part of the story is in the poster itself. Like the greatest representation of this story. I agree with you. His eyes are purple, and so he's either possessed or he's another thing entirely. Point is, #NotMyPrime. But it is like we're both Transformers fans, so it really is. Every time they come out is dangling a piece of cake in front of a starving person, and then when he gets it and eats it, it turns to ash in his mouth. However, the cake looks nice. And right now I'm looking at this piece of cake, I'm like, that looks good. I know where this is going.
You know it's going to be ash, but you're still going to eat it.
Yep, I'm going to try to bite it going, please, no. And I know it's going to turn to garbage, but that's a great catch on the foot.
Just like every Transformers movie, I still have hope. But this is the first time in the last 4 movies then I'm more realistic about my
Yeah,
expectations. I'm not
absolutely.
drinking the Kool-Aid this time, but I'm going to hold out hope,
Right.
but I'm not going to get suckered in. All right, guys, listen. The new film Rogue One is coming out, obviously, this weekend, and one of the key central themes of it is the rebellion. But how did the rebellion get started in the Star Wars movie? Really, what is the rebellion in the Star Wars movie? It's a lot more than Princess Leia and Luke, and to explain the whole thing to us is Jeremy Jahns in this week's installment of Crash Course.
If you're like us, odds are you've set your watch to the exact moment Rogue One, a Star Wars story, hits theaters. Rogue One is unlike any movie we've seen in the Star Wars universe to date. It's not tied to the saga and instead details the start of the rebellion where a pesky group of rebels plot to steal the plans to the Empire's ultimate superweapon, the Death Star. But how did the rebellion get its start? That's where Collider Crash Course comes in, and we've got you covered. Many of you out there might be saying to yourselves, well, the rebellion started in episode 4, A New Hope, right? If that's what you think, then you're not a true Star Wars fan and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience.
To fully understand the rebellion and how it led to the defeat of the Empire by the end of episode 6, Return of the Jedi, you have to go back. Way back to a little time we like to call the prequels, but more specifically episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith was more about the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader, right? That was what the whole prequel trilogy was about, right? Because the taxation of trade routes was all. While Revenge of the Sith was more about the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader, it was also about the fall of the Republic and the rise of the dreaded Galactic Empire. Found inside the DVD extras from Revenge of the Sith were a number of deleted scenes that actually showed the spark of the rebellion. One particular called Seeds of Rebellion featured Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, Padme Amidala, and some other senators while they were discussing the situation in the Senate and Palpatine's rise to power. So the rebellion began to take shape in episode 3 with the forefathers being Mon Mothma and Princess Leia's adopted father, Bail Organa, both of whom will be appearing in Rogue One. You're going to want to keep an eye on Bail Organa in that movie because he's going to be the one responsible for putting Obi-Wan Kenobi on Leia's radar, which leads straight into episode 4, A New Hope. The birth of the rebellion is further explored in canon offshoots like the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels animated series. With the Clone Wars in particular, that's where we meet a number of organized resistance fighters that will come in handy for the rebellion later down the line, like Cham Syndulla. In a 3-episode arc from the first season of Clone Wars, we're introduced to the Twi'lek male who was a dedicated resistance fighter in support of a free Ryloth. It was the occupation of his homeworld that started Cham on this road to becoming a full-fledged rebel fighter. He was also a main player in the canon novel Lords of the Sith, in which Cham led the Free Ryloth movement in a failed assassination attempt on the Emperor and Vader when the two visited the planet. Cham and Ryloth were also featured in the 2nd season of Star Wars Rebels in an episode called Homecoming, where we see his daughter Hera teaming up with her father in order to help the rebels capture an Imperial carrier, which they do, and in the process they destroy it. This gives Cham the symbol he hoped for in igniting his people against the Empire. Saw Gerrera is another key figure to be aware of. He's the very first character to make the transition from an animated Star Wars series to a live-action film. He appeared in Season 5 of The Clone Wars, fighting alongside Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano. He is also mentioned in an episode of Star Wars Rebels. That Disney XD series is set 5 years before the events of the original film trilogy. Whether or not the main players of Star Wars Rebels will cross over into the movie realm like Saw remains to be seen, so that currently has us wondering, will characters like Kanan Jarrus, his Padawan Ezra, Hera, Sabine, Zeb, or even the clone trooper Rex make it out alive by the end of the series? Oh, alright. I guess Rex makes it out alive. Spoiler alert. But the spark of our rebellion will ignite in Rogue One, a Star Wars story which features Jyn Erso and her band of rebels as they attempt to steal the plans for the Death Star. As you can see in the Star Wars universe, everything can and will come full circle. The seeds of the rebellion started in the Clone Wars, were planted in Episode 3, bore fruit in the events of Rebels, and moreover, in Rogue One.
Actually, Shakti is a Togruta. Thank you.
We had a little graphical error in our thing there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought she was a Twi'lek in World War I. My bad.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I want to let you guys know that at the end of the show today, this is a live show. We're going to take some of your live Twitter questions. So start sending in your questions right now to @ColliderVideo. I also want to let you guys know that Movie Talk is not the only show up there today. A little bit later today, Nightmares. Actually, it dropped earlier this morning. Nightmares, the newest episode of Nightmares, is online on Collider Video right now. If you're a horror fan, make sure you go and check that out. The Team Schmodown dropped yesterday of Team Trek versus Team 6 Degrees, so keep your eyes open for all of that. Now, let's get to the mailbag section. So, Ashley, what's in the mailbag today?
Lewis writes, "Hey Collider, my question is, what makes a true Star Wars fan? A lot of fans like yourselves hate the prequels and the special editions, but I have to be honest, I like the prequels and I don't mind most of the special edition changes. The way I see it, Star Wars is Star Wars no matter what. I was always silent about my opinion for Star Wars, and I'm constantly worried that other people, whether they're in person or online, will accuse me of not being a true Star Wars fan. It would mean the world to me if you can shed some light on the situation. Help me, Collider. You're my only hope."
This may surprise you. I think the prequels are garbage. They totally suck. However, all film is subjective. Just because I don't like the prequels doesn't mean you shouldn't like the prequels. Or that's the beautiful thing about film, and particularly in Star Wars. I'll never discourage somebody else from liking the prequels. I will always state my opinion that the prequels are a travesty, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't love them if they appeal to you, and that's the great thing about it. But this is the way I look at it. Are you not a true Star Wars fan if you like the prequels? That's nonsense. That's total nonsense. Of course you are. But I often get accused of, you're not a real Star Wars fan unless you like the prequels. Okay, Bubba, pull your head out of the sand. Here's the thing. I like to liken it unto a sports analogy. I'm a huge fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Have been my entire life. I am. I love them dearly. But they suck. They are awful. You know this. You're a New York Giants fan. They suck.
The Cowboys. What are you talking about?
They are complete. The Leafs are awful. They're awful. It doesn't change the fact that I love them. They are the Toronto Maple Leafs. It doesn't matter how bad they are, and it doesn't matter how long they're bad. I love them, and I'm going to be a big fan, and I love them, whatever. But I'm going to call it like I see it. My lifetime, they've been terrible. They're a terrible team, but I love them. So if you like the prequels, you are a true Star Wars fan. If you hate the prequels, you are a true Star Wars fan. It doesn't matter. The definition is much wider than that. You can be a fan and be realistic at the same time. Kristian.
If you've never seen a Star Wars movie a day in your life, and then you go and see Rogue One, or you pop in The Force Awakens, and you like that movie, guess what? You're a fan of Star Wars. If you go and you enjoy, there's certain things that you like about it, but you haven't read the books, you haven't read the comics, you like certain elements about it, you're a fan of Star Wars. I can't stand this elitist attitude of someone like,
Oh, you didn't know that Shakti was a... You're not a real Star Wars fan.
cut it out. It's like, anyway, you can be a hardcore Star Wars fan, you can be someone that really loves the lore, and I love that you're part of the sweaty clan that I'm a part of. But if someone just casually likes to watch it, like my wife doesn't like the majority of Star Wars. She saw Force Awakens. She loved it. She's a fan of that movie. She's a Star Wars fan. So right then and there, that is how you get to be a Star Wars fan. If you like again, for me, I'm not a hardcore comic book fan the way that Schnepp is, but there's a lot of movies that I enjoy in it that I'm a fan of. So it's really silly when you tell people they can't be fans.
Let me just chime in really quick. Just say, the reason I maybe don't like the prequels and the reason people do like the prequels is people who grew up 3 years old, 4 years old, and saw those prequels first. They saw it in a different way, in a different context. I wanted to add that.
All right, what's next?
Jenny writes, "Hi Collider crew, when the Golden Globe nominations were announced, I was surprised to see that Martin Scorsese's Silence wasn't nominated for picture or director, even after so many critics said that it was one of Scorsese's best in decades. That said, will this hurt its Oscar chances or a Best Picture director nom? Thanks and keep doing what you do."
You gotta see this picture.
He has tears.
You see the little tear Ray put in his eye. Look, I'll just say this. I won't go on my regular diatribe about how stupid the Golden Globes are. But no, this was simply a case of Silence was also not eligible for the Broadcast Film Critics Awards, which was held the other night, simply because they didn't get the movie done in time to have it submitted to them in time for eligibility. That's the only reason. With the Oscars, it's different because they just need to get out in a theater in Los Angeles by the end of the year, and they will do that. So the reason you didn't see it at the Golden Globes was simply because of eligibility. That's the only reason, so don't worry about it. All right, guys, I said I'd save a little bit of time for the end of the show for your live live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Wendy, what have you picked out?
The first one comes from Jan Rodwald, who writes, what do you think of that infamous New Yorker review of Rogue One that says it's time to abandon the Star Wars franchise?
Well, this is the thing. The beautiful thing about movies is that it's all subjective. There is no movie that has ever been made in history that everybody completely loves. It's never happened, and it never will happen, and that's a good thing because that just promotes the idea of the subjectivity of film. There are hundreds of film critics out there. Of course, there are going to be critics out there that love it. There's going to be some critics out there that maybe don't like it so much. And by definition, there are going to be one or two critics out there that maybe absolutely detest it. That's normal. That's healthy. That's fine. I got no problem with that. What about you guys?
I do have a problem with it because I think because the thing, you can have your own opinion on it and say it's not good, but to make an asinine statement like, oh, let's just put it to sleep now. It's like, really? After you know the amount, like that's just like telling people, don't do business, don't do good business. You see, people are really raving about it, but I've got to be the one guy to write the negative stuff so everyone's talking about it, like your show's doing now. That's a putz. That's a putz. I'm not telling him that he needs to love the movie. He could hate the movie, but to say that it put it to bed now, obviously not dopey. They have a whole big plan, and people it's at a fever pitch right now. That's someone I would never hire to do marketing for me.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about that until just now, so that's how much it means to me. But I do notice that Star Wars, movies in general, Marvel Cinematic Universe is getting there. Star Wars, definitely, people hold close to the chest. So there are some people who want to keep it in the sandbox of just like the core movies. Some people just want the original trilogy. Some people accept the prequels but don't want 7, 8, and 9. Some people want it all. Some people want it to branch out in the cinematic universe. I think that's a lot of fun. I want to see more Star Wars stories. So people have very strong opinions about Star Wars, but they should know that those are their opinions on Star Wars, and people who disagree, they're not wrong about it. That's the way I say it.
We've heard this by lots of critics on almost everything that's ever been a franchise. There's somebody's like, just put it to bed. I'm tired of this. James Bond, Superman, this. So, I mean, there's people who
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Hey. I'm right, though. Anyway, you'll see me later.
All right, what's next?
Our next question comes from Brandon, who writes, what is the draw for successful actors or actresses joining failing franchises, for example, Wahlberg in Transformers and Javier Bardem in Pirates?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics. Look, human relationships, there's a lot of dynamics. Number one is professional actors, their job is to act, and they get paid to act. And if one job comes along that offers you a lot of money, why not? But remember, in the specific case of Mark Wahlberg had worked with Michael Bay before on a really nice little film, Pain and Gain. Mm-hmm. That I actually like Pain and Gain. I think it's a good little movie. The two had a great relationship together. Opened the door, and Mark Wahlberg loved the first Transformers movie. I think he might have liked one of the other ones as well. So he came in to do it. So there's a lot of different reasons of the who's and where's and why's. And look, it's like, again, let me bring it to a sports franchise. Sometimes like an iconic coach will go to a bad team and somebody will go, why'd you go to a bad team? Because if they turn that team around, they become legends. So, a guy like Mark Wahlberg, number one, big paycheck, and that's what his job is. Number two, have an existing relationship with the director. Number three, if the last Transformers movie was awesome, it's like they get rid of Shia LaBeouf, in comes Mark Wahlberg, and it saved the Transformers thing. He becomes an instant hero to an entire generation thing. So there's a lot of different reasons going. You guys think of any others?
I agree with you.
Yeah, not springboarding off of that. Like, money is a big one. There's this, what was it, Entourage, where Vinny Chase walks into Mark Wahlberg. Like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm doing voiceover for Ted 2. He's like, you're making another one of those? He's like, I'll do like 8 of them if they want me to. So, I mean, it was kind of a funny thing where it's like, oh, yeah, actors, they do get paid too. They do have a job to do.
I bet Ben Mendelsohn got paid a lot on that Robin poop.
All that Star Wars money. All right, let's take 2 more.
Okay, this next one comes from Henro T, who writes, how is the Sirens movie different from Marvel greenlighting a Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man sequel because they're a hit?
Well, you're talking about something completely different.
Yeah,
Look, they launch these movies with the intention that they will go on. Look, I would have no problem if they said, okay, Suicide Squad worked for us. Maybe not with the critics so much, but it made over $700 million worldwide. The plan was always to do a sequel if it worked. This idea of, we had a plan for Suicide Squad sequel, but people didn't seem to like it so much. But maybe they liked her, and maybe they like, let's do this. Let's push off Cyborg, and let's do that. It's a world of difference. It's a complete different situation than that. How would you address that?
Have they pushed off Cyborg?
Well, there's been no release date. They've said dates,
2020
but then they move dates around without resetting where Cyborg's going. They don't have director. They don't have like.
Well,
anyway.
I mean, yeah. I don't think at this point it's not a fair thing to compare Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Cinematic Universe. They're both totally different. Like Marvel obviously has a plan and has had a plan since Phase 1. DC is like in Phase H or whatever. I don't even know what to call it really. They put a bunch of dates down. They're like, this is our 5-year plan all the way to 2020, and now we're seeing it change. We're seeing things happen. It's hard to tell what they're going to do and what their game plan is. I would have thought that the obvious call would be like, hey, Suicide Squad made $700 million. Make Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah.
Which
is what they would have been hoping to do by greenlighting the first one in the first place.
But I think what my guess is they're going to, now that they've pushed Justice League off, the Justice League sequel will be Justice League versus Suicide Squad, would be my guess.
Yeah, the big...
So wait.
Okay.
Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman versus a guy with good aim.
Yep.
A girl with a baseball bat. A guy throws a boomerang.
With a little camera on it.
It's not... I almost forgot about the camera.
That's right, little camera on it. Remember, these are metahumans, John.
I almost forgot about the camera. How did I forget about the camera? That changes my
And a guy with really good aim.
And the guy with really good aim. Yeah, it sounds like a fair fight.
Yeah.
Okay, last question of the day.
Last one comes from Fresco B. Flexen, who writes, which Quentin Tarantino movie would you like to see a continuation of? Mine would be Pulp Fiction.
Kill Bill.
Wow.
I want to see Kill Bill. I feel like there's something you could do with Vivica A. Fox's daughter.
Well, he's planning on it. He's planning on it.
I know. He'd
Yeah.
always been planning on it, but the question was, what do I want to see? And that's
Right.
what I want to see, plan or no plan. I want to see a follow-up to Kill Bill.
And it's really the only one you really can, because to his credit, all of Quentin Tarantino's movies have definitive endings. I mean, that story's done when they end. And Kill Bill, I think, is the one that I think most of us would.
I still want to see the Vega brothers.
Yes.
I mean, I know that he has a storyline. I don't know if he ever finished
That would have to
the
be
script.
a prequel, clearly.
Or just an alternate universe Vega brothers. I really want those two actors to be Travolta and Sizemore to be in it. So I don't know. Maybe it could be their brothers. That was the other idea that I had seen floated around. Each of those guys had.
Was it Michael Madsen?
Michael Madsen. Thanks for the correction. Yeah, Michael Madsen and John Travolta, that they had twin brothers, each of them, so that they could be old. Yeah, I just want to see that.
Kill Bill, for sure. I mean, when Tarantino said that when they first made it, that they wanted to do it 10 years ago, and it's been 10 years. So I hope that in his retirement, that's one of the last ones to go.
All right, now listen, earlier in the show, we asked you guys to jump on our poll and tell it. That didn't sound right at all. We asked you guys to go to Twitter and submit your opinion on the poll. Ashley's going to die. And submit your opinion.
Hashtag tell him you're my cousin.
Bringing it full circle from Mova.
Okay, look, we asked you. Will Star Wars make over under $150 million? Wendy, what are people saying on the poll right now?
Oh, wow, they're going to be talking about Jeremy. And anyways, all right. So it looks like 81% is voting for over 150 million, and only 19% voting for under 150 million.
All right, well, we're going to have to wait and see how this all turns out. This has been just a real interesting show, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with us and hanging in there with us. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me, first of all, sitting over there, Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you and your little camera?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Schnepp, also overseeing the building of a third Death Star.
Beside him, Jeremy Jahns.
That'd be Starkiller Bay. So you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at Jeremy Jahns, Facebook at Real Jeremy Jahns, or if you follow the hashtag, tell them you're my cousin.
Kristian Harloff.
You can find me Twitter and Instagram, and then Thursdays on Collider Jedi Council. And on December 23rd, the Schmodown Spectacular, 5 matches in one, 3 title matches. It's going to be a lot of fun. Check it out.
Over there, we've got Ashley Mova.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
And, of course, Wendy Lee.
At Wendy Lee Zany on social media.
Want to try that again?
I can. You can find me down there.
Well, oh no.
Oh my God, this is too good.
We've lost control.
See ya.
She's leaving. She's
gone.
Good night, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.